All right, so this lesson is all about adding rational numbers. And I'd like to zoom in a little bit more here. And we're going to fill in some blanks. So let's see. On a number line, opposite numbers are the same distance. Let's see. The same distance from 0 on opposite sides. It's opposite sides. And so when we're talking about a number line. So it's basically something like this, a number line where you have opposite numbers. So you have such as 0, and you have maybe 2, and then you have -2, and they're on equal distance on opposite sides of 0, right? So we have next, opposite numbers have opposite signs. And a pair of opposite numbers like 5 and -5, one number is positive, and the other number is negative. And that's just like what I showed you here, where you have +2, and here's 0, and -2 is on the other side of that. So another name for the opposite of a number is the additive inverse. So the numbers 5 and -5 are opposites, because each of them is 5 units from 0. They're called additive inverses. Because 5 and -5 are equal to, when you add them up, they're equal to 0. So here's some real-world situations that can be modeled by opposite numbers. Complete the second and third examples. Then identify the situation that could be modeled by a negative, by the last pair of numbers. All right, so we have gaining, so 2,000 feet and -2,000 feet. So this might be like gaining 2,000 feet in elevation while climbing up a mountain, and -2,000 feet would be losing 2,000 feet. So the key words here are losing and gaining. That would be positive for gaining and negative for losing. A hydrogen atom will have a charge of +1, and so another example here would be a hydrogen atom with a charge of +1 versus a hydrogen atom with a charge of -1. They're opposites here. Next up, for yards, we could have the situation of +7 yards and -7 yards. So this one could be for +7 yards, a football team gaining 7 yards. So gaining versus losing, once again, positive versus negative. And $50 versus $70, -$50, you could have an allowance of $50 versus spending $50 on something you want. So those are examples of real-world situations using integers. So here is another main idea of adding two numbers when the second number is positive. So fill in the blanks. I mean, come on. 5 plus 2 is 7, of course. Where would you go? Well, if we had a number line here, I'll just do a quick number line. You would start first at 5. So if you have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so you start number 5, draw an arrow in the distance of 2 units. So we draw an arrow 2 units to the right, and end at the sum, which is 7. Okay, that's how you would use that whole thing. So describe the process for representing 2 plus or 2 plus 5 on equals 7 on a number line. Well, that process is this. Oh, I need to do it right here. So I filled this out real quick so you can take a look at that. Pretty easy. I mean, come on. It's 2 plus 5, but how would you do it? And to describe it, you would start at 2, so 0, 1, 2, and place a dot. Above the number line, draw an arrow to the right for a distance of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There, and you end at 7. Okay, so there you go. So that's easy. Well, let's apply it to positive and negative values. So our main idea is absolute value. And the absolute value on a number line, the absolute value, or I'm sorry, the distance between two numbers is always positive. So the distance between two numbers is always positive. And you think about it, distance is always positive. You can't have a negative distance. The absolute value of a number is the distance from 0 on the number line. Oh my goodness, look at that. What a long is the absolute value of a number is the distance from 0 on a number line, which is always either 0 or positive. So let me just I mean this is a repeat from 6th grade, but if we have this thing called the absolute value, so if I say 3, this is called the absolute value of 3 right there. So I guess I'll write it. That means the absolute value, oh goodness, value of 3. Okay, so the absolute value of 3 would be if I have 0, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. What is the absolute value of 3? Well, that's 3 because it's asking what's the distance from 0 to 3. It's 3 spaces. But I could also say, well, if I go over here to negative 3, well, the absolute value of negative 3 is saying, well, what's the distance from 0 to negative 3? That distance is also 3. Okay, so if we go back to this, the absolute value of 8 is written as like this. And its value is 8 because it's 8 spaces away from 0. The absolute value of negative 8, its value is also 8 because it's also 8 spaces away from 0. So fill in the blanks to complete the sentences. If this, okay, adding to numbers when the second number is negative. So if the second number in addition problem is positive, move to the right. If the second number in addition problem is negative, move to the left on the number line. So for example, what's happening here is if you have, I don't know, you can have anything you want. If I have 0, let's say I have negative 2 plus plus 5. How about that? Well, that means you start at negative 2 and you move 5 to the right. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5 to the right. And you end at 3. So that's what this first one's talking about. So if the second number in addition problem is positive, which it is, it's positive 5, then you move to the right on the number line. And if it's negative, you move to the left. Well, what that looks like is this. We have 0, I'll go -1, -2, 3, 4, negative 4. So if I have negative 1 plus negative 3, the second number is negative. So it's negative 1 plus negative. So that second number is negative. That means I have to move to the left. So negative 1 plus negative 3, well, I start here and I move 1, 2, 3 to the left. That is equal to negative 4. Okay. So fill in the blanks. Well, here the second number is negative, so I have to move to the left. So you start at, 5? And I have to move a distance of 3 units to the left. And I got that from here, the 3 units to the left. And so enter the sum, which is 2. And yeah, because that sum right there says it's 2. And then we have, complete the table. Okay, so we have, what we have is this equation right here, 7 plus negative 3. That distance we have to move is 3 spaces, and that since it's negative, it's going to be to the left. So it's going to be 3 spaces to the left on a number line. Here, it's positive, so I have to move 3 spaces again. But since 3 is positive, I move to the right. Okay. Here, I start at negative 4, and I have to move 7 spaces to the right. So it's 7 spaces to the right because the 7 is positive. And then here, I start at 3, and I have to move 7 spaces to the left. So if I start at 3, I'm sorry, I have to move 7 spaces, but I have to move it to the left. Okay. So complete this. So we have, oh my goodness, I have to keep zooming out here so you can see everything. So what we have is complete the steps for adding 2 rational numbers on a number line. Apply the process negative 5 plus negative 3, showing each step. Well, we have to identify the starting point. Locate the first number, which is negative 5. That's that number right there. And I've done that, negative 5. Okay, I've put a little dot on the number line there. And then I have to identify the direction. And it's to the left. This right here is to the left because that's negative. So move left. And then I have to identify the distance. And that distance is right there. That little 3 right there is telling me, I'm going to zoom in, that little 3 right there that I put the green on, that's telling me that I have to move 3 units because it's talking about the absolute value. I don't care if it's positive or negative. I just want to know what the absolute value is. What is that distance I have to move, which is always positive. And then after moving 3 units to the left, you land at, what's that sum? Okay, so let's go negative 5. So I have negative 5 plus negative 3. I have to move 3 to the left. So I'll do that. 3 to the left. 1, 2, 3. Right there. And 8 is, I'll put in yellow, 8 is my answer. So identify, let's see, identify the sum. And you land at negative 8, as I showed right there. Right there. Okay. Next. Okay, so another main idea here is adding decimals and fractions on a number line. So use the number line to help you complete this whole thing. Okay, so here I'm gonna zoom in here, and what we have is first add these. So that's a positive 2.5. So okay, my starting point's in 3. Okay, so my starting point is 3. The direction is to the right, And I know this because that's all positive, right? That's a positive 2.5. And the distance I'm going to go is 2.5. That's the distance right there. So that's going to be 2.5. And so that sum is going to be 3 plus 2.5, which is going to be 5.5. See, because I start at 3 and I go 2.5, 1, 2.5. Okay, that's out. So the next one, my starting point is at 4. And the direction right here tells me it's negative, so it's to the left. And the distance is going to be 3.5. And so if I start at 4 and I go to the left 3.5, that means I go 1, 2, 3.5. So I'm going to end up at 1/2 right there. And so it's 1/2 or 0.5. Okay, I'm going to erase this little part here. Then let's see, what else have I got? This one has a starting point at negative 2.5. So I said negative 2 and 1.5. I'm going to the right, right? Because that's plus and positive, so I'm going to the right. And how much am I going to the right? I'm going to the right 4 spaces. So that's 4. So if I start at negative 2.5, so negative 2.5 is right here, and I go to the right 4 spaces, that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4. And I end up at 1/2. Ooh, I think oh no, 1.5. 1.5. 1/2 is here. This is 1 1/2. So 1 1/2. And finally, let me erase this here. I have, I start at 1.5, which 1.5 is right here. So starting point is 1.5. And I have to move to the left, right? Because that's negative. So I have to move to the left. And I have to move to the left 5 spaces. So starting at 1.5, I move to the left 5. So, oh, sorry. I move to the left 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Move to the left 5. So that's at negative 3.5. Negative 3.5 right there. And that's the answer, negative 3.5. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. So we're adding opposites. And opposite numbers are also called additive inverses. When you add a number and its additive inverse, the answer is always 0. So you add two opposites, like you have 6 plus negative 6, and that's going to bring you back to 0. Show how to find this sum. I'll show you. Right here, let's see. So since 4 and negative 4 are additive inverses, their sum is 0. So and if I did this, my starting point would be 4. So I'll put starting point 4. And I move to the left 4 spaces. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And boom, you're at 0 right there. And how could you use additive inverses to add 4 plus 5 plus negative 4? I'll show you. So what you could do simply is rearrange the problem. So you could move that negative 4 over to the left. So you have 4 plus negative 4. And that was 0 as we showed up here. So that part's 0. And 0 plus 5 is just 5. Easy peasy. And we have this here. So fill in the table to find the temperature on Wednesday morning. Use the number line to help you. Julio records a Tuesday morning temperature of negative 6 degrees Fahrenheit. During the day, the temperature rises 8 degrees to its highest value. I gotta zoom out here. Oof, boy, there's a lot going on here. By early Wednesday morning, the temperature has dropped 5 degrees. And so, dropped by 5 degrees from Tuesday's high temperature. So, what is the starting temperature? It was -6 degrees, -6 degrees Fahrenheit, and it was a rise in the problem, and the amount of the change was 8 degrees in the problem. So this means that you have -6, so you start at -6, you start at -6 and you go up 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and that result is 2 degrees Fahrenheit. And by Wednesday, that starting was 2 degrees Fahrenheit, and then it dropped. And it dropped 5 degrees. And so that means we have, it starts at 2, but it drops 5 degrees. And let's get this here just to make sure we have a good visual. And we have, we start at 2. We start at 2. Where's 2? Here's 2. And we drop 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you end up at -3. Okay, we're to the vocabulary part. I'll fill that in. Okay, so this shouldn't be too bad. Absolute value is really just a number's distance from 0 on a number line. And additive inverse, that's really just the opposite of a number. Or, they're so like yeah, additive inverses are opposites of each other. And opposite numbers are the same distance from 0 on a number line, but on opposite sides of the number line. Okay, so that's what you got to know about this stuff. Integers, adding integers, big time. I hope this has been helpful. Thanks for watching.